Good evening, Professor Waymeyer. This is Stanley Jefferson, and I'm here to talk to business owners this afternoon to discuss fire education in my jurisdiction here in Mexico City. I have been here in Mexico City for 2.5 years, and I anticipate being here for at least 2 or 3 more years. There are many concepts that we will be discussing this afternoon. And I want to be able to inform you of the many things, positive things that we're doing in our jurisdiction here as it relates to fire safety. First, I want to start off with speaking about education. Education, what we do is we go out to the schools, the businesses, the offices, and we discuss fire safety, fire prevention methods, as well as showing people how to properly use fire extinguishers, how to locate the exit signs, how to educate others in the fire prevention protocols. We hand out flyers, we distribute pamphlets, and we provide a PowerPoint presentation to the owners. Next, I want to talk about the enforcement here. Well, living here in Mexico City, there's no enforcement whatsoever. However, what my department and I have been doing is going to the local fire departments and local businesses to discuss ways that we can enforce the fire codes, which is absent here in Mexico City. And upon my arrival here, I was very shocked by some of the things that I see. I would love to show you my apartment here, and it's without sprinklers. However, we did purchase some fire alarms and also some smoke detectors, just for the basics. However, enforcement. Generally, I work for the State Department, and we enforce the enforcement of the local fire codes here, which is again absent. But we use the NFPA fire codes from the United States, and we incorporate that into our building. The engineering aspect of the fire prevention is ensure that most of the components or all of the components are essentially installed in our buildings, which includes the fire sprinklers, the fire apparatus, the panic hardware on the doors, the emergency lighting, just in case or when there's a fire. We make sure that we have the emergency lighting in place. And furthermore, we also discuss ways to ensure that we have the appropriate fire department connections. We installed an outside water line circling the perimeter of our project. So this is a very important aspect. Explain how the code is enforced in your jurisdiction. Well, essentially, as I mentioned earlier, the fire codes are not enforced in my jurisdiction and or in the state of Mexico. However, there are many office buildings around in my area. In fact, just 2 blocks away from me, we have offices, schools, restaurants, hotels, racetracks, the military installations here. And oftentimes what I would do, anytime that I will go to one of these establishments, I will speak with the business owners and I will educate them and inform them that the establishment may be missing the adequate fire exits, the fire doors. I will mention like general housekeeping issues as far as like inspection of the corridors and walkways. I will also look at ways to prevent fires from starting in the first place. And I would check the storage rooms and the combustible materials and in other parts of the building. I would start at the very top and work my way down. And usually it's a service that I'm not getting paid for, but it's something that I love doing because I am a career safety professional of 25 years. And so these are some of the things that I like to do. I will also give examples of whenever my family and I will go out to a public place, whether it's a restaurant or hotel. The first thing that I look for, okay, is does this building here have fire sprinklers? If not, in absence of a fire sprinkler, do they have fire extinguishers? Do they have exit signs? Where's the nearest exit? Are they labeled? Are they marked? The corridors, are they at least 28 inches wide, etc.? So these are some of the things that I like to do anytime that I go out, spending anywhere from 5 to 30 minutes. And I have been able to have a great working relationship with the business owners that I have met since my time of being here in Mexico City. However, since I do work at the State Department, we do enforce the IBC International Business Codes and the NFPA International Electrical Codes, and we incorporate those codes into our structures. In fact, just this week, we'll have the elevator inspectors from DC come down. Also, we'll have some OBO fire that will come down. OBO stands for the Overseas Building Operations within the State Department. So these are some of the things that we are incorporating into our building. And we use these examples to share with some of the other establishments because most of these businesses here are old. They have been around here for many years. And the fire systems here, suppression systems, are inadequate and missing. Describe how your local jurisdiction apply code to non-existent occupancies. Okay, so what I've noticed over the last year is that some of the building structures, the modern buildings here, have fire sprinkler lines. They have adequate fire protection. The doors, they have the construction materials that is made of 1 or 2 hour fire rated materials such as drywall, the floor materials, the roofing materials. Also, the interior furnishings is made from non-combustible materials. So I have noticed that, and I have worked with some of the business owners here and developers as well to help ensure that they are applying not the local fire codes, because there are no fire codes here, but at least if they can adopt, excuse me, if they can adopt the NFPA, NEC, and the IBC fire codes. Identify local organizations that determine fire resistance of building materials. There are some local organizations here that we work with. One is called the Jackson Memorial organization, and they help small business owners, to establish fire regulations, fire codes, and also help them to model other international building codes as well as the NFPA and NEC electrical codes. It's a work in progress. However, I must say that corruption is extremely high here. So any advocates for fire safety here, it's pretty much is swept under the rug. However, there's great persistence with some of the local organizations in helping the other business establishments here establish some of the local fire codes and to set up adequate fire prevention methods. Identify the types of tests used to determine the ratings of certain buildings. Some of the tests that we use in our buildings is I'm sorry, I just lost my thought. But some of the tests that we use in our business or in our establishment at the State Department is that we perform monthly, annual, and weekly tests of the emergency lighting, emergency generators, the backup systems, the smoke detectors, and some of the other systems that we have in place. However, as we speak with other establishments and other businesses, we inform them and educate them on some of the things that we're doing here at the State Department. And so it's going over extremely well, and we've seen some great progress over the last couple of months. Describe how the fire tests and fire ratings apply to inspections and code enforcement in your area. Again, fire tests and fire ratings in my area is pretty much absent. However, in that absence, myself and my captains, we go out and we inform, we educate, and we show videos, we hand out information, and we speak weekly at organizations, whether it's large or small, and we use examples from previous fires that's cost the lives of hundreds of people. For example, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire, which occurred in 1911. It's an important fire, which is many lessons were learned from that. And we use examples like that to educate the general public to not block fire doors, to not have a huge accumulation of combustible materials inside the building, combustible and flammable liquids, for example, and others. So what we do here, we do conduct adequate and frequent fire tests in my establishment. However, as we educate other owners and developers that start a new construction, we inform them of the wise decision that is necessary in order to ensure that compliance is being met and people go home safely at the end of each and every day. We want to make sure that all occupants within a building structure is fully safe and free from all harm and danger as it relates to fire safety.